Welcome to Money Moves, brought to you by 274 Investment Managers, where we share the opportunity to learn about our personal money management. And joining us to do exactly this is the CEO and founder of the app-based company StokFella, which aims at making the age-old tradition of running and investing wisely within stokvels that much easier. And here is the CEO, Mr. Tshepo Moloi. Tshepo? Pleasure to have you with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Right, stokvels and apps. How far technology can go really now, Tshepo, please? Please, now, tell me, how does it work in the case of stokvels?
I think technology can go very far in revolutionizing a 19th century industry, which are stokvels themselves. They've been around for very long. However, they have not adopted technology, and this is our way of making them adopt the technology and bringing them to the light of efficiency and faster, and as well as transparency that is very open to them.
Now, how do they work? I mean, stokvels are membership-based, right?
Yes, correct.
And we know the practice, what happens, people meet on a regular basis, make similar contributions, and there's a particular purpose behind it. So the app would apply in what size groups? The entire association, or even on a stokvel by stokvel basis?
So it's currently on a stokvel by stokvel basis, and I like the fact that you've outlined how a stokvel works. We don't change that behavior. We just apply that behavior on an app perspective. So when a stokvel would meet, they would usually, on a basics, they would write all this information in their book and then hide it somewhere. And I use hide in inverted commas because everyone has got access to that book. But the truth is that unless you can see your money grow on a daily basis, you actually don't understand the wealth that your stokvel has. And this is where we come in, because now as you meet, as you contribute to each other, we help you actually manage, take that book out of your corner house or out of some bed that's been hidden with your money most of the time, and put it on an app itself so that everyone has an access to that specific information that usually the chairman, the treasurer, or even the secretary would only see.
Okay, all right. I want us to be practical.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the stokvel business and how it works and whether stokvels make a contribution to the economy or not. Let's say you have a stokvel of how many people? 12?
Average is 25.
25, so there are stokvels that are as big as that.
25, in fact, they can go up to 150. Recently, we've just been to one, it's about 120 members.
Yeah, I've been a member of them, and I know when the numbers get beyond 10, 12, it becomes more complicated. So obviously a test on the leadership capabilities of whoever becomes chairman or secretary. All right, let's use 25.
Yes.
And what do we call it?
We'll call it Team Modise Burial Society.
Okay. All right, there we go.
There we go. All right, so you're part of Team Modise Burial Society. There's 25 of us.
Yes.
We would have 3 executive, chairman, treasurer, as well as a secretary. So when you have the app as a chairman, you will be able to create your group. When you create your group, you actually say, okay, this is the chairman, this is the treasurer, and this is the secretary. You're then able to put the name of your stokvel, Team Modise Burial Society, its objective, in this instance, the burial society, type, and as well as how many of you have signing powers. So this is the same way that you would do when you have a constitution. In fact, the next step after that, once you've said we contribute 100 Rand or 200 Rand a month, and this is how we contribute, the next step in the app is actually says, this is your constitution. We take all that information and we auto-populate it for you. Because some stokvels don't have a constitution or it's not seen all the time and followed all the time. And then post that standard constitution, that becomes your drive and your stokvel. You have your group. And then as a member, Tshepo Moloi, who would want to join Team Modise Burial Society, I would have the app on my phone as well. And then I will go join a group, search for the group, and actually join, which by then we send a notification to you, Mr. Chairman, to approve me, Tshepo. Or you, Mr. Chairman, can invite me, Tshepo, to join your group if I have got the app on my phone. So from that on, I now have access to all the information that you would have or that the group would have had on a book perspective.
Okay, yeah, I'm asking, is there still additional information around that?
Yes, there is a bit. So we meet on a monthly basis, all of us, all 25 of us. And as we meet on a monthly basis, as we contribute, I record the information saying I've paid Tate Team Modise 100 Rand, and you would approve it. So as we do that, as we analyze that behavior, we start actually understanding the type of contributions are there, how many contributions, who's falling behind, how many people default.
Yeah, well, that's the question I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Because part of the reason information is not made public, you see, is that there's a bit of dirty linen that's there. You find somebody who's a veteran of the StokFella, has been there forever, but never pays on time, or actually has got outstanding contributions of more than 6 months, and as per constitution should have been kicked out long time ago and is still hanging around.
Yes.
Well, so you don't, in a sense, it talks about open information system.
Open information system.
Okay, but do you limit it to outsiders? Don't you keep the information within the StokFella itself and exclude outsiders?
Yes, we do, because we understand this is a financial information tool.
Yes.
So if I have not joined your group, you haven't approved me to join a group.
You can't have access to
some of the information.
Yes.
So I won't be able to see what's the total contribution that you have in your StokFella.
Yes.
I won't be able to see who owes what. I wouldn't have that information until you approve me to have access to the books.
Right.
So that's how where we come with a bit of security around that.
And StokFellas, from having worked with them, are important financial institutions, and they address a challenge, as we know historically. People who are unbanked or could not have access to banks or even insurance products are now able to, as a result of this, support one another, right? But they've collected money over time. And some of the people who work in that environment tell me that the amounts of money collected could be anything in the order of 40 billion rands.
Yes, yes. So research as it has it to date, it says the industry is worth greater than 44 billion rand.
Yes.
You know, so it's a big industry itself. Now, but this 44 billion rand or above, it's spread throughout. And it's most of the time lying dormant, you know, because about 34% or up to 60% of StokFellas are burial societies, and that money is just sitting and not being used adequately. StokFellas themselves, they do want to use that money, but it's the question of access to actually using that money efficiently and understanding why you have that amount of money. So, and there's a lot of things you can do with 44 billion rand and above. For example, you know, we are looking to buy Gautrain stations worth roughly about 3.5 billion. Why can I not, as a StokFella member, have, you know, shares in that? Why cannot we not buy that or contribute to that 3.5 billion rand that's required instead of the government actually loaning out the money? So those are the advantages that could be out there if the money is used efficiently.
And is pulled together.
It's pulled together.
But is there thinking emerging, you think, within the StokFella environment that that's the way to go?
Yes, there is. There is. A lot of the younger generation of StokFellas usually go about the investment route. You know, so this is where they start playing on your JSE market. They start investing in unit trust. So a lot of them are looking in that. In fact, on our platform, about 58% of StokFellas that have started are looking at investments and savings. You know, so
how many StokFellas are using your app?
Your apps. Okay, well, in this specific our app, we have roughly just above 2,000 members. We have about 400 groups that are on the system. You know, and this is a great run rate given that we've only been in existence for almost 4 months.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you know, so ideally we want to increase this run rate faster and open up more, or should I say, solve more pain points that StokFellas are struggling with. Because there are a couple of pain points.
I was just about to ask, I mean, what are the typical things they tell you, the StokFellas, that, you know, they would like to have sorted out?
Sorted out, okay, right. So the first pain point we've solved is administration nightmare. You know, as you said, once you reach 10 people, you start challenging with your leadership capabilities. The second part challenge is that StokFellas themselves are a risk because they're mostly cash driven. But we are starting to see a slow movement in transactions from a perspective of virtual money, but most of the majority of them are cash driven. And the fact they are cash driven, it means that they are subjected to criminals. You know, one StokFella told us they got robbed as they were taking money to the bank. You know, already there's a challenge on its own. So that's a very big pain point that we are trying to solve at the present moment. How do we allow members to be safe driven, still go to your StokFella comfortably and enjoy the culture of a StokFella, you know, but feel safe at it?
So this is a growing movement, and in terms of, you're talking about the younger members of StokFellas these days, right? They're looking at investment product, but their literacy rate in terms of financial matters, how do you rate it, and are you providing them? I'm imagining on their behalf that one of the things they may need is more information.
Yes.
About the financial system and how it works.
How it works. No, that's a great question. It's a great question because the education is one of the reasons why a stokvel would exist.
Yes.
Because I might not be educated, but 3 of us in a stokvel are educated to make that decision.
Yes.
So by me joining a stokvel, already there's some literacy part of it.
Yes.
But we need to understand something about literacy. Literacy is best learned when seen.
Yeah.
You know, so for me to understand money, I need to actually see its movements and what it does. So the app itself already gives you that visual literacy, you know. So us saying that, no, we have 40,000 rand at the bank is not actually literacy. It's me telling you and you need to consume it. But when you start seeing the money and its movement, you start getting to the literacy space, you know. So that from that angle, that we provide some literacy. But however, we think we should go above that. We should start providing some sort of an education mechanism, maybe definitions of certain information like what is interest, what is inflation within the app.
And you're busy putting that information on your app now?
We're busy working around. Ideally, we would like to work with an institution that could, you know, provide that education, because we are more tech savvy. We're not looking to become education advisors.
And you know, with respect, I know apps are invariably used to get people to buy something than to keep the money. And I suppose the context here is that if you are a member of StokFella, you'd like to create value, and one of the ways is to keep the money and invest it, at least have a longer term view. Anyway, the StokFellas that are interested in using your app or making inquiries, where do they go?
Right. I think the simplest part, let's start with the basic. You can go to our website, www.stokfella, stokfella.com. That's where you get all the information. But ideally, you can download us on Android from version 4.4 upwards, or on your iOS phone, that's your Apple phones, on version 7 upwards. That's where you can download us.
All right, there's a StokFella app for you. You want your StokFella to be known and to take the information about your own organization, you can do so via this app that Tshepo Moloi has just told us about. Everything of the best to you.
Thank you, Dad.
And thank you very much. And we hope that this will add value to the way you've been running your StokFella, as well as helping you grow the money that you've been able to collect. And this Money Moves feature was brought to you by 274 Investment Managers.